Coming up on DITV, we sat down with UI President Bruce Harrell to talk about campus safety efforts in the wake of the Parkland shooting.
And later, we'll give you a look at how one Iowa City organization celebrated National Women's Day.
We'll preview the Iowa wrestling team as they head to Cleveland for the NCAA National Tournament.
So stick around for our predictions for the Hawks.
Midterms are wrapping up, but cold temperatures don't seem to be going anywhere. What does that mean for spring break? Stay tuned to find out more on weather.
All that and more coming up on this Thursday morning edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now. Good morning and happy International Women's Day. I'm Sydney Zatz.
And I'm Kaylin Cluck. This morning, we have an update on the Parkland school shooting. Yesterday, former student Nicholas Cruz was indicted on 34 counts for last month's shooting. A Broward County grand jury charged the 19-year-old with 17 counts of murder and 17 counts of attempted murder in the first degree. In the state of Florida, 17 counts of murder could mean the death penalty if convicted. Cruz's attorney says he is willing to plead guilty in order to avoid that sentence.
After heavy pressure from students and citizens, Florida lawmakers have passed a bill for gun control. Spurred by the Parkland shooting, the bill is called the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. It will impose new restrictions on gun sales, including raising the minimum buying age for certain guns from 18 to 21. The bill will also allow some teachers to carry guns in schools. It passed with a vote of 67 to 50. Now Florida Governor Rick Scott has 15 days to sign off on that bill.
Following the national debate over gun legislation, members of the Iowa City community have started talking about changes for improved campus safety. But when it comes to preparedness, the university says that there is not just one area that needs to be focused on. There are many different pieces when it comes to keeping the UI safe.
We've made sure that the officers who carry weapons on our campus shoot a sufficient amount of time to be able to hit their target. We've actually, so training of officers, the extension to our community of saying, if you see something, here are the places you can communicate. We're trying to improve our response time. We're training people, we have courses where we're training people actually how to defend themselves if they're assaulted on the street. And so the list goes on and on and on. So in a nutshell, what we're doing here at the university is everything we possibly can.
Earlier last week, police and UI officials responded to a call of suspected gunshots at Courier Residence Hall. Harold says the response time to that incident is a promising indicator of the UI's preparedness.
So in that particular situation in the dorm last week, I think it was about a minute, maybe 2 minutes before we had a security detail there to investigate what happened. We're trying to over-communicate during these events so people understand what did happen and what we know about what happened. You don't get to Courier in a minute without having planned to get there. Practice getting there.
To see our full interview with Bruce Harrell, head over to the Daily Iowans YouTube page or check out the story in tomorrow's print edition.
Teachers across the state of West Virginia have been involved in an ongoing strike for the past 2 weeks.
And that's right, Sydney, but when it finally came to an end yesterday, and we have Susanna Kluster in our segment studio with the details. Susanna, what can you tell us?
Thanks, guys. On Tuesday in West Virginia, a historic 9-day statewide teacher walkout ended after the governor, Jim Justice, made an agreement with state lawmakers and teachers to increase their pay by 5%, along with other state employees. This decision has come after weeks of negotiating to increase teachers' pay by only 1%. After raising healthcare premiums and taking into consideration the cost of living, this 1% pay raise would have barely amounted to anything, and teachers stated that was insulting. The last time West Virginia gave teachers a pay raise was in 2014. The teacher walkout ended as the governor signed the bill that will go into effect on July 1st of this year. That's all I have for you this update, guys. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Susanna. Mark your calendars because 1 week from today is Iowa Honeybee Day. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds has signed a proclamation recognizing March 14th as a day to recognize honeybees' significance for Iowa. The day will give beekeepers the opportunity to show state legislators how important honeybees are to the state. There are more than 4,500 beekeepers in urban and rural areas across Iowa. Jamie Beyer, a legislative representative, says that he hopes to continue Iowa Honeybee Day in the years to come.
Susanna, it might be March, but this morning I felt like it was January.
Same here. We have Gustavo Meyer in the weather studio to tell us more about what we can be expecting these next few days. Gustavo?
Thanks, guys, and good morning, everyone. Looks like we're going to be having some consistency with the weather this week. This week, we're starting off the day with a high of 37 degrees, and as nightfall approaches, temperatures will begin to cool down to a chilly 20 degrees. Now let's take a look at our extended forecast. The partly cloudy temperatures will continue to linger into Friday with similar temperatures Saturday, and will give us our warmest day of the week. This week, as spring break begins, we are expecting temperatures reaching the upper 40s and falling to the lower 30s. Later that evening, Sunday, we will begin with the most cloudy day of the week with a slight decrease into the lower 40s as we approach the upper 20s later that evening. With the exception of partly cloudy skies, weather conditions will be virtually the same on Monday. Also, don't forget we set the clocks an hour forward for daylight savings Monday as well. I know it's that time of year. Can you guys believe it? It's been moving by so fast. Just be sure to have a fun time celebrating spring break, and hopefully some of you guys are heading down south to celebrate it the right way. Kaylin, Sydney, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Gus. A bill in the Iowa Senate could be bad news for sanctuary cities. Senate File 481 would ban sanctuary cities across the state. Cities who choose not to comply with immigration officials would lose their state funding. Iowa City does not currently consider itself a sanctuary city. However, local police do not enforce laws on federal immigration. On Tuesday, a House subcommittee pushed the bill forward. It is now awaiting a vote in the Senate.
The Iowa United Nations Association hosted its annual Night of 1,000 Dingers in the Robert A. Lee Recreation Center. International Women's Day was celebrated along with the theme, Building a Better Future for Refugee Children. Food was donated by local restaurants and featured people who lived in the camp as children. Here's what organizers had to say about the mission behind the event.
It's a fundraiser for a primary school in a refugee camp in Kenya. Our organization nationwide is working to support refugee education because we think that's one concrete way we can help refugees, most of whom are women and children, and many of those children do not have access to education.
All the proceeds from the event will support the Shable Primary School in the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya.
Cedar Rapids band Soul Sherpa is taking over the mill this Friday night to debut their new album.
The fusion jazz band has only 2 singles to their name, but that will change when they introduce their album, Same Wave Train.
The band members met at Kirkwood Community College, and they have been playing together for 2 years. And Sydney, we have a lot of wrestling news in wake of the NCAA tournament.
That's right, Kaylin, and here with our Matt Side show, we have Bo and Jim in the sports studio to give us all the updates. Guys?
Thanks, guys. That's right, I'm joined by Daily Iowan wrestling beat reporter Jim Gertis to preview the NCAA National Tournament next weekend.
I'm excited to be here, Bo. Let's get into it.
Jim and I were both at the Big Ten Wrestling Tournament last weekend, and it wasn't that great of a showing for the Hawks. No champions and just one in the final. Jim, what was most disappointing for you?
Alex Marinelli got knocked out in his first match. Michael Kemmerer lost in the semifinals. It was not the best showing for Tom Brands and his lineup.
I was absolutely shocked as well to see Kemmerer pinned in the semifinals by Ohio State's Micah Jordan. He's been a rock all year, and I just couldn't believe he was caught on his back. Here's what head coach Tom Brands had to say about the team moving forward.
Obviously, our seeds didn't hold in a lot of places, and you know, you're going to get the generic answer from me. We got to go forward. We got another tournament. It's a 3-day tournament, and it's in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's a national tournament.
That's right, Cleveland, Ohio, the national tournament. Brackets for NCAAs came out last night, and 5 Hawkeyes found themselves seated in the top 10. So let's start by previewing them starting at the bottom. Jim?
At 125, Spencer Lee has been a dominant force for all season long He burned out his red shirt earlier this January and has only lost once since then, racking up 5 pins and 5 tech falls on the year to earn himself the number 3 seed. right behind Lehigh's Darian Cruz and Ohio State's Nathan Tomasello.
How soon does the focus turn to Cleveland now?
Today.
What's the ultimate takeaway for you from a weekend like this?
Just got to keep scoring points. I mean, I ultimately lost me the match in semis and got me to the loser's bracket. So.
All-American Brandon Sorensen, the senior, had a great season so far. The only blemishes on his record coming from the #1 ranked Zane Rutherford from Penn State. Sorensen picked up the 2 seed in the tournament, and this looks like a collision course for Sorensen and Rutherford to meet again. Sorensen's never been able to stop the Zane train, but at Big Tens he held Rutherford to only 2 points, which is the lowest scoring margin the two have ever had.
I mean, not really, I don't know if to say the match I wanted, but if I'm going down, I got to get out. You know, that's something that I got to think about coming for a Nationals match. Maybe we don't go down. You know, we'll see how the match is going.
Sorry for those technical difficulties. Moving on to 157, Michael Kemmerer fell victim to one of the many huge upsets at the Big Ten tournament. Kemmerer was pinned by Ohio State's Micah Jordan in the semifinals, his first loss on the year, and enough to drop him down to the 6th seed in the national tournament.
Then at 165, Alex Marinelli highlighted the Big Ten tournament for all the wrong reasons. He was upset in the quarterfinals by Michigan's Logan Massa, and then lost again in the consolation semis by Rutgers' Richie Lewis. And then met Massa again in the 5th place match where he was beat yet again. Marinelli drew the 5th seed for Nationals.
And Iowa's heavyweight, Sam Stoll received the 5th seed in the tournament behind Michigan's Adam Kuhn, Ohio State's Kyle Snyder, Penn State's Nick Nevels, and Duke's Jacob Casper. Even though Stoll's only seeded 5th, it is heavyweight and anything can happen.
So before we go, let's go through those top 5 and give you our predictions. Jim, why don't you start at 125?
With Spencer Lee at the 3 seed, he will have to get through Tomasello in the semifinals. But if he can do that, which I think he can, he has a good chance of being a champion.
I'm going to have to agree. I think Lee is going to perform like he always does. I see him bouncing back from this loss. He was able to beat Tomasello earlier this year, and I see him taking this one.
At 149, I always root for the story, so I'm going with Brandon Sorensen. Iowa's senior gets the storybook ending he's been working towards the last 4 years and finishes next weekend on top.
I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to have to go with Rutherford easy. It's his senior year. He hasn't been stopped he hasn't been beaten in 2 years. Anyone in the field isn't stopping him anytime soon. Sorensen is the one who has the best chance, but even he has never been able to beat Rutherford.
I see Jason Nolf winning at 157 this year. He had a strong showing at the Big Tens with even more time to heal his knee. I think he will be in prime position to rise to the top of the podium at Nationals.
I think Kemmerer's got this one. I think he's going to rebound well from that loss at the Big Tens and make his way back to the championship. He would see Nolf in the semifinals. He's seeded number 6 if they were to both make it that far. And I see Kemmerer coming out on top this time around.
165 is going to be a lot of fun. Alex Marinelli is a 5th seed and will see tough competition early. So I'm going to go with Penn State's Vincenzo Joseph. I think he bounces back after Big Tens and takes down Isaiah Martinez in the finals.
You know, I like this weight class a lot. I think it's the toughest weight class in the country. Yeah, we didn't really see the best of Alex Marinelli. Hopefully he keeps his head up, but I don't think he has it in him to make it through this field. I'm going to take the senior veteran Isaiah Martinez of Illinois to win this one.
At heavyweight, there's no better way for Ohio State's Kyle Snyder to close out his historic career. The Olympic champion is finding his way to the top of the podium this weekend.
I have to agree. Yeah, I was right last week, so I'm going to stick with what I know. Snyder all the way, easy. That's it for us in the sports studio. Be sure to follow our coverage of the NCAA National Wrestling Tournament next week.
And come back tomorrow morning for a pregame baseball show with Mary Kate Harrion and Zach Mackey.
Guys, back to you at the desk.
And that's all we have for you on this Thursday morning edition of DITV.
Be sure to head over to DailyIowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday.
And if that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out the print edition on stands now. For DITV, I'm Kaylin Klug.
And I'm Sydney Zatz. Thanks for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.